India seems to have acted in utter haste in 1973-1974 to hand over the Katchatheevu Island to Sri Lanka. Also, this seems to have come under the unrelenting pressure from the Sri Lankan authorities and the reluctance of India to go to the International Court of Justice, because India had presumed that its case was weak and losing at the International Court of Justice would be embarrassing for it. These revelations have been made in this RTI document, which has been revealed by the Ministry of External Affairs to Mr. K. Annamalai, the Tamil Nadu BJP president. And what we can quote from these documents now is what Foreign Secretary Keval Singh of that time went and met Mr. M. Karunanidhi, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, the DMK leader, and what Mr. Keval Singh told about Indian government stand to Mr. Karunanidhi about why the Katchatheevu Island had to be handed over to Sri Lanka. Number one, it says the Foreign Secretary explained to the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu the relative weakness of the India's case over sovereignty over Katchatheevu as compared to that of Ceylon. So the government itself admitted that it was in a weak position. Government had presumed that its position on this whole matter was weak. And this is what was told to Mr. Karunanidhi. Number two, the government told Mr. Karunanidhi that the Sri Lankan side, being convinced of the superiority of their case and also aware of the shortcomings of our case, has maintained a sustained pressure on us to refer the issue to the International Court of Justice for a decision if we cannot settle it bilaterally at an early date. So the Foreign Secretary, the then government of Indira Gandhi, admitting that it was under sustained, unrelenting pressure from the Sri Lankan side on this issue. It further says that the pressure since October 1973, the pressure since October 1973 had become unrelenting. This was during then Prime Minister of Sri Lanka visit to India in January 1974, and Sri Lanka in fact had insisted on the urgency of the solution, even fixed a timeline for it, first telling India to settle it by the end of 1973 and then by the end of 1974. It further says the Foreign Secretary in fact told Mr. Karunanidhi that there is the existence of a very strong pro-Chinese lobby in Sri Lanka, which is eager to take advantage of any misunderstanding between India and Sri Lanka, and which may be urging the Sri Lankan side to refer the dispute to arbitration and go to the World Court to embarrass India. This was the other worry which was on the minds of the Indian government, Indira Gandhi government at that time, that there's a pro-Chinese lobby which, if forces the Sri Lanka to take the matter to the International Court of Justice, it will be embarrassing for India, because India has already presumed that its case in the whole Katchatheevu issue was weak. It further says that at that time the relations with Sri Lanka are cordial. It's best to settle it bilaterally rather than take it to the International Court of Justice. To this, Mr. Karunanidhi asked that why can't we settle the matter maybe after 2 years? Why can't we keep it pending for another 2 years? And why can't we take it to the International Court of Justice? To this, the government and the RTI reply here is showing that it says the Foreign Secretary explained the difficulties inherent in arbitration by a third party, and India wished to avoid arbitration in principle because of its bad experience in the past over the Kashmir issue in the Security Council, or the question of Kutch, or the recent case then of the Indian plane hijacking, which was taken to Pakistan, and flights over Indian territory were banned post that. It said the objective impartiality of a third party cannot be taken for granted, and most importantly, the Foreign Secretary told Mr. Karunanidhi that the world opinion tended to side with the small rather than the big country. The small against the big country, the world opinion will always side with the small country, and that is why India said we are not going to a third party arbitration. We will not go to the International Court of Justice. We want to settle it amicably, bilaterally, which meant handing over the Katchatheevu Island to Sri Lanka and surrendering our sovereign rights over that island. It also said, the Foreign Secretary also reminded that any other course than political negotiations would harm our national interest and would augment the influence of other foreign powers like China and adversely affect our security and economic interests. So in a nutshell, India did not want to upset Sri Lanka in any way. Good bilateral relations with Sri Lanka took top priority rather than holding on to the Katchatheevu Island. Number two, India was not eager at all to take this matter to the International Court of Justice, because India itself had admitted and presumed that its case over Katchatheevu was weak. It would lose the case in the International Court of Justice. It would end up embarrassing itself. In a way, the government rushed through it because of unrelenting, sustained pressure from Sri Lanka, which the Foreign Secretary of India admitted to Mr. Karunanidhi. And this is now going to raise a lot of questions on the approach of the Congress government when it comes over the entire Katchatheevu issue.